years, the Cold War shrouded the world in a fog of war, creating anxiety and tension. One country stood as a beacon of hope. Now the fog has cleared, revealing a new world order. The United States is leading the world into a new era of cooperation, peace, and prosperity. But Uncle Sam can't do it alone. The United Nations is looking for volunteers who want to help the most vulnerable succeed. Join a peacekeeping mission today and make a difference in the world.
By the 1990s, the Cold War had become a thing of the past, but a number of other crises had broken out around the world, triggering a shift in U.S. foreign policy. Instead of focusing on preventing another world war, the U.S. focused on working with other nations to intervene in smaller conflicts. Called peacekeeping missions, these interventions involved military forces, trained experts, and thousands of volunteers. In the 1990s, volunteering was a key way that even young, inexperienced Americans could participate in U.S. foreign policy. To help us understand these changes and the way people experienced them, let's head to the 90s. Mia is fresh out of school and has a big decision to make. Does she go to college or volunteer for a peacekeeping mission? In this lesson, we'll help Mia figure out if she wants to volunteer by defining U.S. foreign policy principles during the 1990s, describing the goals and activities of peacekeeping missions, and investigating the peacekeeping mission in Haiti. Let's get going. It's 1991, and the Gulf War has been all over the news recently. The year before, Iraq invaded Kuwait, a small oil-rich nation located along its southern border. The United States led an international coalition to force Iraq out of Kuwait in order to ensure peace and stability in a key resource-rich region. President Bush is delivering a speech to discuss the war and the principles that will define U.S. foreign policy during the 1990s, and guide the type of work volunteers will do once combat missions are over. We'll use this speech and Mia's notes to figure out if these new foreign policy principles align with Mia's values. Be sure to have the guided viewing in your PDF handy.
The triumph of democratic ideas in Eastern Europe and Latin America, and the continuing struggle for freedom elsewhere, all around the world, all confirm the wisdom of our nation's founders.
Democratic ideas, continuing struggle for freedom, the wisdom of our nation's founders. What can these phrases tell us about the U.S.'s foreign policy principles? Well, to begin with, President Bush is referring to the fact that democracy has prevailed over socialism. But now, the United States must intervene in smaller conflicts that pose a threat to national security and democracy. So, a major principle behind U.S. foreign policy in the 90s is spreading democracy to more places in the world. This could mean helping resource-rich nations like Kuwait, or preventing a refugee crisis that could cause issues in the U.S. Let's tune back in.
We must foster economic development for the sake of peace and progress.
Foster economic development, peace and progress. How do those two things connect? President Bush wants to promote capitalism as a pathway to lasting peace, another key foreign policy goal. Countries where the U.S. intervened would receive economic aid, and in return, Western powers would have access to their resources and markets. Let's listen to the final piece of the speech.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
A new world order. Nations are drawn together in common cause. What does President Bush mean by a new world order? So President Bush envisions a world in which decisions are made through international organizations, the New World Order. International cooperation is the final big principle that shaped U.S. foreign policy. It's supposed to foster a sense of global unity. Since the U.S. is not acting alone, it would also decrease federal spending on foreign policy. Bush's speech has revealed a lot about the principles behind U.S. foreign policy during the 1990s. Let's head to the PDF and help Mia look through her notes so she can decide if U.S. foreign policy principles align with her values. After watching President Bush's speech, Mia has decided to head to a recruiting office for the United Nations Department of Humanitarian Aid. She'll take notes along the way to help us learn how volunteers can participate in U.S. foreign policy.
Around the world, there are a number of dictators competing to fill the power void left by the USSR. These conflicts threaten global peace and stability. But international diplomatic and military forces are intervening to remove these dictators and protect volunteers.
U.S.-led peacekeeping missions primarily rely on diplomacy. From a military perspective, the goal of intervention was to engage in limited combat if diplomacy failed. After the conflict was resolved, some soldiers remained to help keep volunteers safe while they rebuilt communities.
The UN is seeking adventurous, dedicated people that want to help rebuild these war-torn nations. You'll work with local populations to create democratic institutions, such as lawmaking bodies, a justice system, and secure elections. Good with your hands? We could put you to work building infrastructure such as schools, hospitals, and roads. These projects will ensure local populations can participate in the global economy.
One of the main goals of peacekeeping missions is nation building. Nation building activities focus on strengthening democracy and developing economies. This involves a network of volunteers working alongside experts and local people on numerous projects. Mia has a lot to think about. Let's help her out by reviewing her notes and completing the UN's volunteer application. Mia's friend has been in Haiti volunteering for the UN. She's just gotten back home and is coming over to tell Mia about her experiences. Before she gets here, let's take a look at what led to the Haitian intervention. In the early 1990s, Haiti's democratically elected president was overthrown by a military dictator. And as a result, thousands of Haitians fled to the US, triggering a refugee crisis and a peacekeeping mission led by the United States. In response, the US led an international coalition called Operation Uphold Democracy to end the crisis and restore democracy in Haiti. Her bestie's here. Let's listen in.
Well, I was also on the fence about volunteering, but the peacekeeping mission had clear goals that inspired me to sign up.
Operation Uphold Democracy had very defined goals that aligned with US foreign policy. First, remove the dictator and occupy the major cities. Second, reinstate the democratic government and bring in the volunteers and experts to rebuild the nation.
By the time the volunteers got there, we immediately went to work nation building. It was amazing. We worked with local leaders to build schools, hospitals, and roads.
Nation building was the final phase of Operation Uphold Democracy. At this point, the dictator and his supporters had been removed. The military personnel that remained focused on protecting volunteers and training local police.
Right before I left to head back home, I heard hundreds of more volunteers were on the way. Seems a little strange because when I left, most of the work was over and the country seemed like it was in good shape.
In the aftermath of Operation Uphold Democracy, Haitian society continued to rely on foreign aid, making it difficult to develop an independent government and economy. As a result, volunteers and military personnel remained for many years in an attempt to maintain stability. Mia's friend has said at home, Mia has a much clearer understanding of what volunteering in a peacekeeping mission involves. After the video, head to the PDF and help Mia make her big decision. Like many people in the early 1990s, Mia was experiencing a changing world. The Cold War was over, the USSR was a thing of the past, and US foreign policy had dramatically shifted. A new world order had emerged. The United States led the way, embarking on a number of peacekeeping missions to make the world safer and more prosperous. As a result, thousands of volunteers joined in the aid effort, experiencing different cultures while also learning about themselves. Will Mia be one of these volunteers? In the PDF, you'll find out. Until then, keep making history.
Hey!